fast, fatal heart impact. Past painful scars, in fact, I blast tasteful bars and past. I back up my actions back, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked. Attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse, I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're just freaked out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Q's show here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had the little house of horrors called Earth. The place that once used to be a beautiful blue marble turned to, well, a gray marble, and then into something more, something less. Deku and his crew came back to Earth to bring back proof of its destruction. However, what they found was a lot more than they thought they'd have to bring back. The crew, they saw the Earth, floating there, destroyed. In front of them is a planet, somehow held together, but it looks like you took a knife and just started cutting and ripping chunks out of it. And that's not even the worst part. From looking at this thing in front of them that used to be their planet, used to be their home, Japan's underwater. Many of the islands out in the ocean are probably either in the water or they're somewhere. And there's also another problem. The moon's nowhere to be found. It's been flung off of its orbit somewhere. And that's also a thing Deku's noticed. What has happened to their home? And how exactly has it changed? Deku, he's sitting down at the table. He's thinking back to a few days ago. He wishes he lied more. He feels like this is worse than anything. Hell, what they saw down there, he doesn't feel like even he could handle properly. And right now, he's having a bit of a situation. He's sitting there at the table of the mess hall. And everybody else, they've locked themselves in their quarters. The only one who's working somewhat normally is him and a key. This wasn't her home. And she herself isn't attached to any of this. However, she is worried. She herself has just tried to leave it alone and avoid everyone, since she does feel like they do need the time to process it. As we do cut to about a few days back, Deku and the crew, they found out about Earth's destruction. They saw the planet for themselves, and they sent a drone down to inspect it. As what's a good heavily populated place everyone would know? New York. That's a good one. They dropped the drone in New York, and whenever it does smash and land into the planet, it does at least have its camera start operating before they do start to look around. It's crazy. Everything they do start to see, it's unexplainable. The destruction and the chaos everywhere. It's dwarfed by a few other things. As we do cut to a heavily populated area where people stand, except they don't exactly look the same. The things that they're seeing, it's horrible. There's bodies everywhere, and there's people piled wall to wall with each other running. These must have been their final moments. These must have been what the last things on Earth happened. Whatever was spread across the globe, it caused chaos. It caused unknown amounts of terror and destruction. It's, not what they thought it was. It wasn't quick and it wasn't painless. They can all tell that. The pictures they take and things they do see when they do start their investigation shows Whatever this was, it was most definitely a slow burning fire. Now, that's what does make the crew start to give up on this. As whenever the person operating the drone, they do walk out of the room and set down the controller, some other people do start to leave. And you do actually have Deku. He knows that they've already gathered more than enough evidence. This place, it's fucked. And Deku, he does at least go to look down at the controller. Before, he himself does at least go to take operations of it and move throughout the planet more. Over the next couple hours, Deku, just looking through the eyes of the camera, he does try to investigate places and go places. And it's kind of intriguing. As we do have where the robot, or the drone, as it's flying, it does come to a door. Floating right in front of it, it does go to reach out a robotic claw and go to wrap its arm around it. As whenever it does go to try and pull the door forwards, the door does come. As whenever the robot is able to pull the door open more, Deku is able to maneuver it. The door getting stuck on something on the ground, and Deku just trying to at least pull the door back more. As whenever it does finally stop, the drone does fly in. Deku looking at the area, as many things are knocked over, and some things they don't seem to be following much sense, so let's just say. Deku can tell by the way things are. This is just peculiar. There's holes in the ceiling. And whenever he looks up, it seems like, well, there's rubble floating in the air. Is that someone's... No, quirk effects shouldn't be working if everyone's dead. But that would mean something's wrong with the gravity. That could be it. It could be why that door was so slow to close. Interesting. Deku flying up to a computer and looking at it. As Deku, he does, he's going to turn the robot and look at the large open place. This was a public space, and he's wondering if he can get any information. It could be possible. Deku going to press one of the buttons on the computer. As he does so, nothing happens. And Deku, he does start to try and press more buttons. It doesn't seem like that'll work. And you do have where he does at least go to fly over towards the outlet and go to bring something up. The robot opening one of its fingers as Deku does go to jab something into the wall outlet. Whenever the robot does go to pull a hand away, that finger is missing. The robot flying back over the computer and then going to plug something in. As whenever it does go to plug something in with another finger, it does at least go to, with two of its robotic hands, or two of its robotic fingers, go to press down the keyboard. After it does go to do so, the computer does start to light up, showing that it's booting up, before at least a home screen does finally pop up. And that is something that everyone, or at least Deku, he does stare at. As whenever he does look at the calendar and the date, something seems wrong. He noticed that things looked a bit different in New York, but there's exactly the date this is talking about. This computer didn't look like the ones in, well, Japan, so he knew they were different. But by how much different? It seems by a lot. Whenever Deku does at least look at the date, he notices something. One of those numbers, they don't seem right. Well, at least to him, or accurate. It shows that, if he's correct, the date is 2466. That can't be right. That's weird. The date when I left was... Let's see. It was 2165? So, 300 years? That doesn't make sense. But wait. If that's the last time, then this computer was recorded. Deku is going to click through some of the files, as he at least does try to find an activity log. Whenever Deku does start to look through the computer more, he does find more of the files, and see that more time than 300 years may have passed. The inactivity was a while, but then again, what happened? The inactivity shows it's been just about 70 years, and that's what Deku's more curious about. So sometime around 230 years ago, humanity was wiped out. But that must have been the goo attack. Then, shit. That's not right. None of this seems right. More of these thoughts going through Deku's mind. As after at least going to download some files and going to pull the thing out of the computer, Deku, he does go back over to the outlet, getting the robotic finger and pulling it out of the wall. As the drone does fly off and find a place where it can set down. Deku going to the mess hall, as he does just eat something and then go to bed. It's a lot running through his mind. This idea of the date. Why is it wrong? Did somebody mess with the computers, maybe? But the inactivity. What was it? 70-ish years? That's like the last noted recording. So it could have been more. And then the amount of time. Over 300 years. That can't be right. This eating at Deku. He tries to wrap his mind around it, but it doesn't really work. And eventually he does fall asleep and wake up a few hours later. He doesn't feel too well. He feels groggy and he feels a little bit more paranoid. As whenever he does at least try to go about his morning, training, and at least going to shower afterwards, he does decide to spend a lot of today trying to explore the planet and discover more of what may have happened. In Deku, he does go through it. He flies to multiple cities and sets the drone down other places. As even after his drone does get stuck and eventually die from the battery overused, Deku, he does at least go to fire down the second drone. Where this does happen, he does at least go to give this one a backup battery. And whenever the drone does land on the planet, this is where things, they do start to get a bit more peculiar. And that's where Deku, he does start to understand more. The way these buildings look, time definitely has passed. That's why. Some of them look newer. Some of them look more, well, he doesn't know the right word to put it, but designed differently. A different concept, maybe. And that's what's messing him up. As eventually, after at least finding a bit more of these statues or people, he does also discover mutations, or at least mutant creatures. He sees a few of them and he does try to avoid some. As Deku, yeah, the expedition he does cut a bit short. As he's gathered all the information, and the drone is pulled up to the surface, or at least off the surface of the planet. Now, Deku, he is at least a bit happy by some of the stuff this trip has provided. He was actually able to get quite a bit of things downloaded onto their files. And a lot of these things are of great importance. With the yautja technology, they can store practically anything. And right now, that robot is the most valuable thing humanity has. All that's left of humanity is inside of that robot. The USB, Deku was able to download fragments of the internet. Download a lot of things from a lot of different areas around not only, well, the world, but in different languages and cultures. Deku knows it might not be much, and while he would rather like to have the team immediately recover it, download what they can onto the yautja computer here, and go to send it back down, fact is, Deku doesn't know if that stuff contaminated the robot. They're going to purge the room of pathogens and go to put it through sanitation procedures. And if that doesn't work, they're most likely going to have to destroy the robot itself and try to send out another one. Maybe this time even try to download things remotely. Link it up to his bracer and most likely download it from there. It could be a possibility. However, that's a problem. Remotely transmitting it, the fact that it could be corrupted from such a distance, and because of the interference inside the atmosphere, there's that. And Deku, yeah, he is very lucky. After a thorough sanitation process and detoxing of bacteria, they do walk into the room. And Deku, he does at least go to pull out one of these hard drives. He is very happy, as after collecting more and more data for a few weeks does go on as such, they do eventually decide to call it quits. Deku sitting at a table with the scientist. Some of them you can tell they haven't been taking care of themselves. One of them looks like they haven't showered in at least 5 days. The other one, they barely put on clothes today. They're basically just sitting there in their underwear with a bottle in their hands, and they look like they just woke up. Another scientist, it doesn't even seem like they cared, since right now they're just eating some food and not even paying attention, just staring down at their project and or at least tablet, quote unquote, I'll just say, and looking at some information. And Deku, after finally at least snapping his people to attention, you do have where he does express a few things. They got their proof and they got data. They were able to prove and show humanity has been destroyed. Him at least suggesting that, while this may not be the worst thing that's happened, they were able to get things they would not have otherwise, and this will greatly help them out. Everybody, well, they can celebrate that. They can't really celebrate much else, since they know Earth's been destroyed now, and far worse has happened on that planet. Deku is trying to not show it, but he himself has also been affected by this. The horrors down there, they're terrifying. They even gave him nightmares. He still wonders what the last days could have been like, if they weren't after he left. And if he's correct, hundreds of years passed, how is that possible? They did have to go through a wormhole to get here, but that doesn't make sense. If that is to be proven, or at least correct, there shouldn't have been at least that big of a leap, right? It's still an interesting thing, but they'll have to research it more. And that's something that Deku does try to keep in mind. As whenever the trip back does at least commence, you do have where Deku, he does at least try to cheer his crew up, talking about how they're all going to be playing poker, and they're going to be drinking, and trying to at least have some fun. Deku talking about how he can at least teach them all how to play blackjack. Yeah, sure, whatever. Hey, I have an idea. Everybody turning to the guy who he's half dressed, and his hair is crazy and his glasses are cracked. What is it? How about we play poker, but the rules are different? So what do you mean then? Are we following your guys' rules or what? How about every time somebody wins, they have to play a game of truth or dare? They can even do whatever they want to make up certain rules. Okay, but that's not really too good. Doesn't that mean someone can just say, oh, one of the rules now is no one else can play the game, or no one else can make rules but them? That's basically just controlling the game. I know. Let's say you can't do that. Besides, I pretty sure you might want to play this. However, you're not going to be the one dealing cards. Alright. Deku at least thinking. Well, this could be good. It also might not be too well. Since, yeah, he thought he had the upper hand here. However, while Deku's been trying to focus on Earth, everybody else, yeah, they kind of weren't. The crew, they've been trying to play through the actual rules of poker. And after at least getting a little bit better with their poker faces, knowing how to fold, knowing everything else, they do play with Deku. And Deku, yeah, compared to a bunch of sad drunks who were playing poker, yeah, he didn't have much time. They were able to quickly beat Deku. And after he did at least lose a hand, he was told to do something stupid. Deku doing said stupid thing, and some people at least trying to cheer up. As Aki, she does sit across from Deku, and Deku is going to look up at her. As he does lose the next hand, and Deku, he is told to do something stupid. What do you want me to do? Do push-ups on your fingers. Is that it? Don't stop them until we tell you to. Is that it? Okay. Fine. Go start from your fingers, then go down every time you reach 100. Go down. Don't use 10 fingers after you do 100. Try 5. Then try 3. Then try 1. Okay. Deku going to do some push-ups. Whenever he does 100 regular, he does switch to 10. And then doing 100 like that, as he does at least go to switch to 1, and then go to do 100 push-ups that way. Whenever the person does inform Deku to jump up into the air and not touch the ground with his feet, he does get a bit annoyed. Him going to at least leap up fully that way and make sure to keep his balance. Him trying to hold himself this way and do 100 push-ups. Now, Deku does find this to be at least somewhat okay. However, after trying to switch down to 3 fingers and then go to try and switch down to 1, that's where things are getting kind of hard. Deku is trying to hold himself up on 1 finger. And whenever he does try to go down, it's very hard. Keeping his balance feels almost impossible. And you do have where everybody, they're just standing there and waiting. As whenever Deku does is good to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, him going down for 6 before his finger does actually somewhat buckle. Deku actually going bending with his finger and then going to smash down to the ground. As whenever he does go to sit back up and look up at everybody, the person standing there, they do tell him to just stop it. So are we playing the next hand? Yeah, we are. Now, you do have this hand where Aki, she did feel a little bit more confident. She didn't want Scar to lose his hand. And, well, yeah. She ended up losing. And whenever Deku, he did at least go to look towards her, he does look back towards everybody else at the table. The way the game works is if somebody wins, the person who had to either fold first, and or at least the person who they actually lost when they played. It was like this. Deku, he may have lost. However, he lost the hand because Aki, she had a worse one. And that's where things get bad. As whenever at least the guy does go to stand up, he is going to bring up his hand. As he does point directly at Deku and say that what she has to do for the punishment is sit on his lap. Excuse me? Yeah, you have to do that and then play the next 10 rounds. Well, that sounds... Aki is fine. Aki walking over. As whenever she does sit down on Deku's lap, Deku, he does somewhat go to look towards the person. As the guy, he does at least go to talk about how, and that's good. Going to bring the thumbs up, somewhat trying to at least smile like a jackass. And Deku, he does think, If he sees this guy later, and if he could stand up right now, he is probably going to knock his teeth in. And that will be the first thing he does. Now, the hands do go by, and whenever Akishi is trying to talk to Deku, you do actually have where she was a bit tense at first. However, she did go to relax a bit more. And Deku, he was actually kind of surprised. Whenever Aki was at least trying to whisper to him in yautja to ask for some advice, the scientists, they were actually at least looking at these two. As whenever they were seeing how casual they were with each other, and even how they both seemed to relax at this, it seemed odd. They can't pick up whispers that quiet, especially when the translator does have a bit of a delay. So, you do have where this is actually very good. Deku and her, they actually do start to win the rounds. And after at least ordering the scientists to do their own stupid things, such as Deku really should ask the scientists to do 100 regular push-ups, that's when things do start to get a bit more funny. Deku, he tries to give them some more tasks, even tasking one scientist to go into the kitchen and pour something stupid on their head. As when they walked in, they did it. And after at least the 10th round, you did however the next time was played. As whenever the scientists, they did all at least go to look at each other, they looked back towards these two. They didn't say a thing, and they did just continue to start playing the rounds. And that's when they realized these two, they aren't really paying attention. And, well, that's the odd thing. They're not freaking out anymore. They're not trying to run away from each other, and they're not keeping track of the rounds, they're just focused on winning. Scar, what hand do you think I should play? Your hand doesn't look too good. I'd say fold. Deku at least whispering into her right ear, so the scientists, they can't hear his voice. As Deku at least does go to lean forwards a bit more to grab his cards from the table, you do actually have a key who does get pushed forwards. Deku grabbing his cards as he is going to reach his hands backwards and going to look at them. I don't think I'm doing too good. Scar, what's up? Never mind. Your hand, it does seem odd. How is it good? Look at these two. These two right here, they do make a pair. And with the ones on the table, that does at least help to make it a three of a kind. Especially with this card right here. Oh, that's interesting. I know. But that's not even the best part. Deku is going to bring his hand out. I'm going to grab onto his cup. Before or after at least going to chug down something from it, he does going to set it back down. As he actually does go to at least go to reach for Aki's hand and grab hers by accident. Scar? Sorry. These are my cards here on the right? I thought mine were on the left, my bad. It's fine. Deku grabbing his cards. As he does at least go to look at them, he is going to set them back down. Reaching for the other ones, talking about how these ones were his. Sorry. It's fine. Now, after the round is played, Deku, him and Aki, they do really start to have more fun. Since while the scientists, they aren't on the same playing field now, Deku and her are able to either win or end the round in a bit more of a split. And that's where at least the games, they get a lot more fun. As by the end of the night, everyone is piss drunk, and they are stumbling around. As we do have for Deku, he's in the observation room of the ship. And he is just sitting down against the wall by the door and looking out the large window at the planet that used to be his home. As he does whisper to himself. As one of Akisha's walk in, she is turning to hear Deku whispering in a language she can't understand. Scar? Aki. Hey. You scared me. Are you alright? I don't know how to answer that. Deku leaning back against the wall. Putting his back straight, Zaki she does go to sit down next to him. "Hmm? I'm sorry about your planet. Hmm? It's fine. It's fine. I uh I learned a lot." Deku bring his hand up over his head. As Deku he does just keep his hand there and on his forehead, covering his eyes. I I learned my parents died. They they died 20 years after I left. That was hard. I found their records. I found their yeah, yeah. It's their obituaries. I'm I'm not sure I'll be fine for a while, especially because of that. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know how to just look at that. And then down there, those people, I may not have known them, but they were still my own race. I feel for them, but not in the way I thought I would. They're people, but I don't feel like they're my people. They're not the ones I left. Okay, I don't know what I should be feeling right now. Closure and all the sense of peace because my parents didn't experience that? Or fear because we don't know what they experienced? All the records show the day this stuff showed up. Some of the things we found, some of the pieces of social media, it's all scattered. What is social media? It's it's a lot like the internet. The internet is something that everyone has access through devices they carry. Phones, like these things on a wrist. Except you can carry it in a pocket. It's easy to explain that way. Social media was kind of like that, if you installed it. I understand. So, like our communications technology. Exactly. That's kind of what they were originally used for. But they kind of spiraled. I see. Humans have a tendency to do that, don't they? Hmm? Do what? They turn one technology into another. Your species, didn't they have ideas to use atoms to use them in wars and then try to turn them into energy? You try to purpose different things. It's interesting. How do you know about that? It's on certain files. The yautja, they have been looking at your planet for a long time. In fact, some of your more recent history, the yautja may actually know. Really? Yes. Um, I could try to find it if you would like. Deku is going to lean his head down onto Aki's shoulder. As Aki, when she does turn her head towards Deku, Deku, he's just, well, all red in the face. That would be cool. Scar, are you even listening? Uh, kinda. Kinda. I just need to lie down for a minute. Um, alright. Deku just laying there for a second. Before, after at least a few minutes do pass, and Deku just staring at the window. His eyes, they may be at least opening and closing rapidly. Him slipping in unconscious before he's going to jump back awake. Huh? Okay, are you still awake? Yeah, I'm still here. So, what, what can the yautja, what can the yautja do exactly? With what? Well, with the internet. We can piece it together with what we have. Granted, we're missing chunks of it. In fact, I think we're the one who took chunks of the internet, actually. But if we combine it with the yautja's information grid, maybe the humans can have at least a piece of home. Maybe. Scar, is that advisable? I can't say no to that. Technically, we're the bosses now. We make the rules. So why not? Hell, if we're in charge, I guess that means we can do anything, right? I suppose that's correct. Technically, I am the second clan leader of the human clan. Yeah, the third one, Vasya. What? What did they do with her body? Hmm? I do not know. Because of my unique circumstances between clans, I'm not privy to what we do with our dead. How does that work? Technically, I am bound to my mother's clan because I was born there. However, my father, he is teaching me because he is very skilled. My mother, she will admit that one thing. However, it does not mean I am barred from either. If I die while in a hunt with my father, my remains go to his clan. If it's with my mother, my remains go to her clan. Huh, it's interesting. And now that you're a leader, what does that mean? Hmm? Well, technically, I am with the human clan. If I die with you, you may choose where I am buried. Hmm, let's let's change the subject. That's a grim thing. I understand. However, it's not a bad thing. Hmm? Well, what do you mean? Scar, I really hope you don't remember this, but you're my best friend. You're my only friend. If it weren't for you and me ever meeting, I don't think I'd be this way. I've learned so much from your culture, so much from your species. You're all strange, I'll give you that. But, thinking about my own species, we are strange as well. In fact, it's interesting to look at from this point of view. And, well, I admire you. Key, I already know that. I admire you too. You're my friend and you're skilled. Besides, I'm happy I know you. Really? Yeah. In fact, I feel kind of weird sometimes around you. Why is that? Well, the way you act without realizing it sometimes. It's interesting. In fact, I don't think you even notice it sometimes. You invade my personal space, you act the way you do. Sometimes you do things that are cute. And others times I can feel my heart skip. Is that a good thing? Yeah, it is. Hell, I've thought about it before. Thought about what? I know you admire me. I know you like me. You have a crush on me, Aki. And honestly, I like you too. Besides, I'm not really used to this whole relationship thing. It's been a while. And well, I'm not too sure if we could be together, but well, I'd be willing to give it a shot. And that's not just the alcohol. Deku at least falling asleep. As Aki, she does sit there for a minute just with Deku asleep. Is he finally done? Jesus. The ramblings of a drunk. But were they really ramblings? Her trying to think. She herself has drinking a lot tonight. And she doesn't exactly know if she's in the right state of mind to even think about this right now. Since she was keeping up with everybody else tonight. And Scar, he's passed out drunk. So there's that. Hurley's going to get up before Lee's going to reach down and help her friend up to his feet. Her carrying him to his room. As she does get there, she was going to lay him out. Before at least telling Scar that she does hope he can talk to her properly tomorrow. And if he can at least try to remember what happened, what he said. Since she does want to hold him to it. And whenever she does leave, I believe she herself would want to tell Deku the same thing. She knows that things are strange, but these feelings, they aren't just one way. They aren't just her thinking about it more, thinking about these feelings. They're actually something else. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And I do believe that that is a good point to leave this part off of. And have an amazing day.